Welcome to a 2-in-1 video because today we are hanging out together. It's a random work day for me, even though it's much slower than my usual ones. That's why I thought it's a great idea for us to spend it together and talk pretty extensively about organization. I'm gonna share how I organize myself, my work, my schedule, my days, as much I can think of, because this was a highly requested video, which was pretty surprising. Artists, in popular belief, are basically a synonym of chaos, disorganization, and I hate this stereotype. I think it's really harmful, as most of stereotypes are. But in my case, it is very, very untrue because I haven't yet found a person equally organized as I am, being a freelance full-time professional illustrator. Over the years, I've worked out a system that works for me, and I will do my best to share as many things as I can with you. There were many neurodivergent people asking for a video because for some of you guys it's just harder to get organized, and being a neurodivergent person myself, I hope I can help. Probably applying every single thing that I will mention and talk about here to your routine won't work for you because each one of us is so different and we like and appreciate different things, and we also thrive in different environments. But I do believe that you can apply some of the things that have been a part of my routine for years and years now. They've been working out for me with pretty good results. In this video, I want to talk about how I plan and organize my work in general, as a bigger picture, but also how I managed to handle multiple projects at once. I think the biggest workload I had to handle at once were 7 or 8 illustration projects at the same time. I don't remember exactly. And probably for some of you, this is, a part of your job as it is a part of mine. But I know that there are many of you who find it hard to combine so many projects together. I think we can very roughly divide this video into what would be organizing your work and routine, then everything that is the administrative part of handling your own creative business, and then balancing your work with your life, because that one is also very important. When talking about organization as a creative freelancer, you often ask me if I have a routine that I apply to all of my working days and that I follow every day. And I never know what to answer really, because I feel like both a no and a yes equally apply. To give you some more background, because I feel in this case right now, when talking about organizing yourself and your work, this is something important. As an illustrator, I work with business clients. That's my main line of work, let's call it. And I know that it's also the same case for many of you. This means that clients hire me for their projects so that I create illustrations for them. And of course, I'm being paid for it. And that's my full-time job. Alongside that, I create personal projects that often get developed into a bigger thing. Or right now, for example, I am working on my own book that I wrote together with my husband, and now I'm illustrating and want to publish it. Another thing that is very important for any freelancer, I believe, are social media. This YouTube channel that you are currently watching, believe it or not, it consumes quite some time, but it became a pretty cool part of my work because I also consider doing all of this my work. I think in order to organize your day well, you need to know when normally you feel most productive. I am the most productive between late morning and late afternoon, which simply means that things that require the most amount of creative energy, this is the time window for me to tackle them. So following this idea, I leave my mornings and my early evenings for dealing with mails, administrative work, everything that requires some more straightforward thinking and less creativity. Those are the moments where I like to work on those things. An upside for me of being a freelancer and being able to organize your time and your work is to see what works for you. For example, very often I take 2 hours of my work day to go to the gym and prepare some tasty meal. which is something that I wouldn't be able to do working in an office. And this works for me, even though it means that I have to recover those 2 hours by working later than the people who work in an office do. Having said that, my routine follows a certain order of things, but I adapt it and I keep it flexible so that it works best for me at any given time. For example, one of the factors that can alter my routine is the weather and the climate. Right now, those last few days, the weather has been beautiful. There's sun, there's blue sky. I am not wasting that. To take advantage of that, I've been starting my days by walking my dog in the park in the mornings, and I just stand in the sun. And this is the best way for me to start my day. First compliment I received when it comes to my organization skills was from my school classmate and her mom when I was probably 11 or 12. Because since a very young age, I've had many extracurriculars and extra classes that I had to combine effectively with school and many of my creative interests that I've had as a young person. I am also neurodivergent on the autism spectrum, which means, among many other things, that I have very high standard, which is extremely annoying and very often frustrating, but it comes in very handy in my professional life and at work. It doesn't mean that everything I put out there is perfect, pristine, and with no flaws, but it simply means I like giving the best of myself that I'm capable of at the time I'm doing it. Let's talk a bit about how we can organize our workload and workflow and everything that comes with it. Because, once again, there isn't anyone who will tell you exactly how to organize yourself and your work and everything that you need to do. So it's very important that you yourself take charge of that in a way that's comfortable and sustainable to you. For me, for example, it's very important to know exactly every morning what I will be working on. And those are basically the parts of every project that I'm currently working on that need to be completed so that I reach the deadline comfortably. The only way to be effectively able to juggle many projects at once is to be able to set priorities. So the way how I organize my work is by prioritizing projects depending on their deadlines, of course, their complexity, and the amount of work needed. I just received a new kettle because the old one is broken. It broke some time ago. And from my Lisbon trip, which is something that I documented a few videos ago, I also bought shoes that I forgot to show you. I think they're really beautiful and really cute. I bought them from the Christmas collection. There's no way you can wear a shoe like that in the Netherlands in the winter or in the autumn, in my case. Once I bought those shoes, apparently those are the shoes that all the influencers are wearing. So that's the influencer shoe. What I'm working on today is preparing the files for a client that I need to send their way. I need to prepare and send my invoice as well. I want to also get in touch with all the coaches and the artists that I work with to give them the feedback that they ask for the projects that they are working on and so on. Then I need to make some progress on book illustrations. Today I'm not going to the gym, which is normally a part of my daily routine, only because I overworked myself. I don't know, I lifted stuff that was too heavy. Now I suffer because of it. I wanted to mention and highlight all the tools that I use to organize my work and myself, because without them, it would be all so much harder. Since I switched to Notion, I can't go back to a traditional agenda. This is one of the main tools that I use in my illustration work and my freelance business, mostly because of the mobile aspect of it. This means that anywhere I am, anywhere I go, maybe I am walking my dog, I don't have to have my agenda with me because I always have my phone on me and there is everything I need to know about my project management, my ongoing projects. I use Notion basically to track every aspect of project management. When my agenda frees up a bit and I'm open for new projects, everything I need to know at any given time is in my Notion. To adapt Notion to me, I created my own Notion template. I'm gonna leave a link to it below. You can check it out if you want. But the most important thing and the most important take from this video is that if you want to use Notion or you want to improve how you use it, it's important that you find a way in which it works for you personally. This is the main part of my template. This is the one that I use the most. This is where everything is. Being in charge of the process and how you progress with your work is priceless, and it can save you so many headaches. And honestly, whenever something comes up during the project, I am so thankful to myself that I registered all of those details that probably at the time might have seemed insignificant. This part saved my butt when I was working on 7+ projects at the same time. Basically what it is a visual representation of how your months of work will look like. This way, I have this very cool, colorful visual representation of how busy I am when I can start accepting new projects. If you are a visual person, and I think most of us are, this is super helpful. I have social media tab where I plan my content, and this mostly refers to my newsletter and my YouTube. Any new idea that I have for YouTube, I write it down. I write and save all of my newsletter posts on my Substack. I have a Substack, by the way. Please subscribe, it's free. I save them here so that everything is in one place. Another thing that often happens are changes in the scope of the project, changes in the timeline. There are some delays because somebody didn't deliver, something, some file. This is the right place to reflect all of that, because believe me, especially when you are covered with work and you are balancing many projects at once, those details can slip your mind. So having a clear note that something changed, that something was updated, will help you a lot. A quick tip that I also wanted to share here is to please organize nicely your files. Even if you think it's not important now because you don't have any clients yet, I think it's very important to work out a habit where you organize your illustrations by project. It's going to help you so much in the future. Also, please never forget to make a backup copy. Thing that I wouldn't be able to carry my business as effectively as I am right now is Google Calendar. This is something that I do not need to introduce to anyone. We all have it, we all use it, but I want to talk to you briefly about how I actually use it and how it works and complements the Notion thing. When it comes to anything that requires my presence anywhere, basically anything that needs me to be on time somewhere, either it's a physical place or a Zoom call, I use the Google Calendar for that, and it works out perfectly. My memory sucks. So honestly, I could just sum up this video and tell you that my secret to being always super awesomely organized is to just write down everything. The master trick is to write down those things in the right places. So in short, if I don't write something down, I won't remember about it. I will forget it in a few seconds. This is how it works. So this is basically where my work life and my personal life come together. This is where I take notes of every single appointment that I have in my personal life, but also in my work life. So the things that I would normally put in my Google Calendar, to give you a few examples, are a doctor's appointment, a hairdresser appointment, meeting with a friend for a coffee, going out somewhere where I have a reservation, my coaching calls. I know exactly when I'm going to catch up with every single one of you just by looking at my calendar. This is also how I organize my day. So if I know I have a coaching call at 4 today, I know that if I want to go to the gym and then I want to eat, I probably need to do those things a bit earlier than I would usually do them. The aspect of having reminders that you can customize is the best thing, because something that happens a lot is that if I set a reminder 30 minutes before something actually happens, in those 30 minutes, I might forget about it. So if there's something super important that I know, for whatever reason, it can slip my mind because it's something that I do not do often, it's something that doesn't happen a lot, I schedule for myself a couple of reminders so that I can have, 30 minutes beforehand to prepare myself, and then additional 10 minutes so that I actually remind myself to remember about it again. When it comes to the gadgets that can help you organize, I have my timer. This one is covered in dust. I know that I tend to spend sometimes too much time on simple tasks or something that is straightforward and should be done in a short, specified amount of time. For example, when I write my Substack publication, which is called Writing and Typing and so on, I set this up. Something else that I think is important to keep in mind is that an illustrator's job is not only illustrating, it's the whole administration part, social media and whatnot. In my case, I divide almost, as if you imagine it, my creative work into the main thing, which is the illustration, then all the administrative work, which is issuing invoices, chasing payments, tracking my payments, tracking my projects, contacting new clients, replying emails, taking care of my website, of my portfolio, presenting the illustrations, everything that basically allows me and my business to operate in the real life world. And last thing, and this is something that I incorporated to my work routine officially last year, is my coaching program. If you don't know, I coach individually a very small group of artists. I love working with artists. This gives me a lot of satisfaction and I also learn a lot. So that's amazing. And yeah, it's just important somehow to segregate those into separate categories. This is at least what helps me. Something that I repeat a lot to the artists I work with. There is always something that you can work on. So whenever you have a bad day and you just don't feel like illustrating, or whenever you have a spare time window, but it's only 30 minutes and you know that you won't do anything useful with it when it comes to illustration, maybe you could use it effectively for something else. In my case, I know that when I am tired, I won't be of much use to illustrate because I need my mind awake and I need my mind fresh. And probably I won't also do well in front of the camera, which is not easy thing to do as is. To be able to effectively organize your work schedule and your projects and be able to give your client information and estimation of time and also be able to commit to a timely delivery of the files and to, most importantly, work on many projects at the same time, you need two things. First of all, is to fully understand the scope of the project. To plan this, you don't only need to know the client's timelines, which is basically the project deadlines, but also know and be aware of your own capacity, your current schedule, and the way and the pace you work at. This is something that only you yourself know from your past experience, working on your own project, working for past clients, whatever it is. It's very important for you to know your capacity and your limits and your pace. Of course, it's very easy to assess how much time a book illustration takes, how much time you need for a packaging project, how much time you need for a puzzle illustration one, once you've already worked in the field and you have this experience, or you gain this client experience. The only way of, knowing yourself and knowing how you work and knowing your capacities is observe how you work and maybe even time or measure yourself at work. So it's important for you to know how quick or how slow you are when it comes to, let's say, sketching stage of the project. How much time do you need if, let's say, you need to prepare 3 or 5 or 10 illustrations? It's very important for you to know those things. For example, a tool like a timer can be very helpful if you feel like this time pressure is something that's stressing you out. Then I'd recommend just, measuring your work in days. All of this is a very valuable information for you that will allow you to assess how much time, how much space you need to squeeze in and fit in a project comfortably into your schedule. All of this information will help you to figure out how many projects and how complex their scope can be for you to take them on at once. Freelance career is built upon the idea of working with different client and multiple projects at a time. In a very few cases, it would be sustainable to work on one book only at a time or one packaging project only at a time in order to build a creative career that can sustain you. So the capacity of working at multiple different things at once is of the essence. And it's totally okay for you to plan your agenda having different projects and different timelines and clients in mind. It is always important to leave a bit of a wiggle room when agreeing and negotiating timelines and conditions of a project to accommodate for any possible bumps on the way. And that's another thing that is worth mentioning, in my opinion, and it is that the project schedule and the stages it is divided into should always be specified in the agreement so that both sides, your client and you, can organize yourself, can organize the work. Your client can know when they can expect the delivery of the files from you. And you also know exactly when the feedback from the client should arrive and how you can organize all your work accordingly. This also creates a very nice and important, in my opinion, transparency between you and your client and the way how you work. And also your client and you know when it's time for you to submit the sketches, apply the client feedback, submit the final work, and so on.
Oh,
Very often artists and neurodivergent people, we need uninterrupted time to enter our flow state, which is like the perfect state of concentration for us. This means that any interruptions can easily throw us off while we are kind of creating in our perfect bubble. In my case, it takes some time for me to get into this perfect flow state, and I know I won't be able to achieve that if I'm trying to squeeze creative work into, for example, say 1 hour time window that I have free. Knowing this and knowing myself is a very important information that helps me to schedule my day. This basically means that I like working in long streaks of time. This is when I'm the most productive. This is when I achieve the best results in my work. Those smaller time windows for me are perfect for some smaller, less creative tasks like administrative stuff, anything involving social media, where this flow state isn't really necessary to keep things going. If this sounds anything like you, maybe it would be a good idea to organize your day planning on having longer periods of time for your creative work rather than trying to squeeze in creative tasks or creative projects or illustration into those smaller time windows scattered throughout your day or interrupted with other tasks. That's why for some of us, having, let's say, an appointment at 1 p.m. breaks our day in half and makes it harder to focus or be productive. So all of us freelancers, we basically ride waves when it comes to the amount of work and commission we receive. So sometimes we ride the high wave and sometimes we are on the low wave. And for some of us, these waves tend to repeat around the same time each year. So, for example, I am more swamped during the summers, while at the beginning of each year, I have a bit more time on my hands. And I know that for some artists, it's just the other way around. But an important thing, and actually, a thing I wanted to talk to you about, is what to do and how to organize yourself in those times when you don't have as much work as you would like to or you are used to. Depending on where you are in this whole surfing the wave scenario, if, for example, you are living a very busy period of work, my recommendation would be always to take a few days off. Not all of us will be able to do that. We'll have, an actual opportunity to take a few days off. But I think it's always important to take care of ourselves, to rest after those extreme busy periods of time in order basically to avoid burnout, which is something that would stop your creativity and would make things harder for you for a pretty long time if it happens. On the other hand, whenever the work is slow, my recommendation is always to engage in personal projects. This is honestly our chance to pour 100% of our passion, time, skills, and everything that drives us and motivates us into a project. Think about it this way. When you work with clients, there is always some specification, there are always some guidelines, there's always a brief that you need to create illustrations for. When you work on a personal project, this is 100% you. This is like just you, unlimited. And this truly shows the clients who you are, what you are capable of, and what is that you are really passionate about. So the personal projects really help you to steer and drive your portfolio into the direction that you want, and always keep it fresh, because at the end of the day, if you just keep uploading to your portfolio projects created for clients, this is obviously perfect, but still those personal projects, they always bring something new, because those are the projects that allow you to freely experiment, to expand, to build something different, create something different, to test out new ideas. Also, when those busy times hit, don't forget to take care of yourself, of your body, of your mental health. Go for a walk every day, leave the house, go for yoga, to the gym, or even remember to stand up every hour, because our health is the most important. To sum up, it's always important to keep the balance so that you don't overwork yourself, but also don't get too lazy, because both of those states are very hard to get out of. Managing emails is the next point on my list, and it's a very important one. Emails are the main and honestly only communication tool between me and my clients. I have a very simple and a very old system that never fails me and works for me. And it's something that I apply to both my work emails, but also my personal mails and messages that I get. And my trick and how I like to deal with emails and messages is to keep them on unread until I have enough time to fully commit to replying to them. This means that because, we get notifications right and left, I might see an email, I might see a notification coming in, I might even read an email or a message on the notification, but until I have enough time to fully concentrate and focus on my response and give it the whole attention it deserves, I will keep it on unread. If you have any particular questions, just please leave me a comment, because this way, if I see that there are more of you who are interested more in this subject of organization, I will make a follow-up video and we will keep talking about it.